Yeah, about 30 feet down. So like it's like a 3-story building high. And yeah, and like the landing was only about like arm width wide. It was a very narrow landing. And there was a cliff edge on your left, and then a like just a cliff that drops away down a canyon on your left. And then on your right, it was like an edge of a cliff, like it's like a wall, right? So you had to snipe in between. So what we did, we used like that bright neon spray paint, painted a line on the takeoff. And I got kind of nervous because it was completely blind coming into it. There was another big drop right before it. So like, yeah, I fly off the cliff before it, land, and then you kind of crest up the hill, and then the takeoff is right there, and I couldn't see anything. So I followed the line, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna play it safe and kind of hug the inside of the line a bit, because like I don't want to fall off down the canyon on the left. Like if you tumbled down that hill, like I don't know what would happen. It wasn't completely vertical, but you would just fall for a long time, and it could be really bad.
Welcome back to the Living Banter Podcast. If your day was average, it's about to get a whole lot better because we have a great guest coming today. Before we start the episode, this comment shout out goes to Gio and Ashley. Thank you so much for commenting. But today, getting to our guest, this guy, he's an absolute legend. A pro mountain bike athlete, teaching techniques, tricks and tips with his very own MTB course. Riding for HydroFlask and many other sponsors. The founder of Explore Rove, it's Mark Matthews. Welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, man. How you doing?
Great.
Glad we could make it happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For everyone who's unaware of like what happened last time, we were initially supposed to have Mark on, but the footage corrupted. So yeah, it was a long night for Caden and myself trying to get that sorted out. But yeah, we finally got Mark. Yeah, we finally got Mark back on. So yeah, we've given you pretty much an entire big introduction here. Is there anything else you would like to say about yourself before we dive straight into it?
I think there's probably enough context. Maybe we just jump into it and we can continue the interview. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so man of many skills here.
Yeah, thanks.
Sweet.
So one of the first things I want to ask is, you've obviously like ridden quite a few places. Has there been any place in particular that like has something weird and wonderful happened? Because I mean, there was a story of you breaking something, but we can leave that for a bit later.
Sure. Yeah. I'll leave that one for later. I don't know. I would say it's hard. Like there's like where I live in British Columbia, which is like the west coast of Canada, the mountain biking here is so good, which is why I got into it in the first place. Like there's so many opportunities, lots of diverse terrain everywhere. But like when I started traveling the world, I was going to like these really cool exotic places like Tibet and Turkey, and like the bike riding wasn't as great, but like it was just like lots of culture and interesting landscapes. But I would say like the coolest trip I've been on was in New Zealand, because it was like very culturally similar to Canada, I guess, and the mountain biking was like completely different, but like really amazing. And like I just like couldn't believe how welcoming the people were and how great the trails were, and just like the culture there was really cool, and it was almost more progressive than in like Canada in a way. Like they weren't worried about liability or anything in New Zealand. They just want to like build crazy stuff and like progressive trails, and it was like this whole different mentality around riding, and it was really neat. And like I did like a tour of the North and South Island over a 2-week span, and like there's just so much great bike riding everywhere. And yeah, very laid back country too. Like the population of that whole country is only like a few million people. So it's like,
okay.
You feel like you're in this little like paradise. Awesome. In the middle of the South Pacific, there's nothing around you, right? Yeah. It's just like,
nice.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty cool.
So with those places, right? Has there ever been a place that is like a really, really big culture shock? Or like what was the place where you felt the biggest sort of culture shock?
I don't know, maybe in Turkey, because like, well, it wasn't like for example, Indonesia was like very culturally different than Canada, obviously. Like it was such a huge contrast. But I think Turkey was more of a culture shock because we went there to film a bike film during Ramadan, which is like the end of May.
Oh wow, okay,
or start of June. So like it's like that Muslim culture, which we don't have. Like Canada's a very diverse nation, and there's like people from all sorts of religions and races here, but it's awesome. Nothing's like prominent, right? Like there's no like nothing that the whole population all does together. And like
Makes
that was
sense.
crazy being there during Ramadan, and like you couldn't even find food during the day, right? Like everything was
Jeez.
Everyone's
closed.
fasting.
Yeah,
That is
everyone's
crazy.
fasting. And then the people who sent us there were it was a resort, and it was like a very like culturally like very, very strict Muslim resort. And our tour guide, he wasn't Muslim himself, but he had to like kind of keep his bosses happy. So we were driving 70 kilometers every day to go to this area in Cappadocia, which was like beautiful sandstone formations, really cool riding. But we weren't staying out there. We had to go back to the resort each night, and we had to get back in time for Ramadan every night, right? Because like we had our own food during the day, but like it was important for us to like eat dinner with the people who were our hosts. And our guy who was our guide, like he was so stressed out because he's like trying to impress his boss. So we're driving like 200K down the freeway in the rain, just like trying to get back in time for dinner. We're like, dude, calm down, you're gonna kill us. Like he's like, no, it's important. And then our photographer was so angry because he wanted to get the sunset photos, right? So we're trying to get sunset shots and then get back in time for dinner. And then like, yeah, it was. I honestly don't know if it would have mattered if we were late for it or not, because like the people seemed really chill and like they were so happy we were just
anyway.
but like for him it was like so important. We were there for Ramadan every night, and I was like, man, this isn't nuts. Like we were just like ride bikes all day till we like almost nearly down the freeway back, and then we eat like an epic meal till like 10 o'clock at night. It was kind of a culture shock. Because like I don't even think like most of the citizens there are that strict on it. Like I remember going to a shopping mall one day, and there's like a bunch of like moms with their kids eating food and like food courts and stuff. You're like, people aren't really following Ramadan. Like everything's just closed, and it's weird, right? Like it's it's definitely weird. It's a weird culture shock. I was like, why are they even doing this? Like no one's actually religious. It's like it's just the cultural like it's like embedded in their society. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Because, I mean, we have a really, really big, like, Muslim culture here in Cape Town. Some of my friends, like, they at school, we would, like, hear about them fasting and going through Ramadan. And I think I've been to, in my entire life, at least 4, maybe more, like, Ramadan dinners, like, end of Ramadan dinners. Like, those are insane. Like, and it is a big thing. Even if they don't, like, make a big deal about it, it's still, like, we're gonna go and we're gonna eat ourselves like completely full until late into the evening. So that's awesome.
I mean, it was awesome. We had really good food every night, but it was just like such a hectic schedule trying to get there in time.
I can imagine.
But Mark, so you travel to many places across the world, which is awesome. But where is somewhere you still want to go mountain biking and experience that side?
I mean, it's funny how you guys are from Cape Town, because it's actually on the list of places to go. Like it's where they do Dark Fest, which is a festival. It's like some of the world's biggest mountain bike jumps, and they have like a really crazy course every year. And there's other like epic trails in that bike park. In the bike park in Cape Town there. I don't know exactly where everything's located, but it looks unreal. There's that. And then there's, I guess like Africa in general, because I've never even been to that continent. So there's,
it's a big continent.
Like I was supposed to do a trip to Namibia this year, and COVID happened and we had to put that off. But like just riding in the desert there, out in the dunes and everything, like there's some really cool zones, and I've seen some really cool mountain bike content come out of there. We had something planned that was like a 10-day trip, and it's just on the back burner right now. We're hoping it happens next year. We'll see.
We really have to see about this whole COVID thing. I'm hoping 2021, like it dies down a bit more. I know there's probably like second waves and all that. I mean, it's restricted everyone from doing so many different things.
Totally.
And
man, it's crazy.
Especially international travel. It's gone completely out the window. But we spoke to you when last did we speak to you?
I think it was probably a couple months ago.
So
August, maybe.
Wasn't that more when like lockdown was more intense, or how has the situation changed?
Not really. I mean, numbers are getting worse here. But I mean, lockdown kind of chilled out in the middle of the summer. But I mean, our numbers aren't bad. Like for like where we are in BC, which is a huge province with like maybe 5 million people, we're getting a couple hundred cases a day right now, which is bad for us. But it's still really low compared to the United States, right? Like so, it's been super weird because like we're so close to the U.S. border and it's still closed, and it's like it's weird being like, because the Canadian government's keeping our border close to the Americans right now.
Well, I can imagine. I really can imagine.
So like we can go into the States. Like I could drive into the States if I wanted to right now, but if I wanted to come home, it would be like a mandatory 2-week quarantine. And Americans aren't allowed up here. And they're really strict on it. It's crazy seeing the world that way. Like I even see stories of like, because there's all the little islands on the coast here, and like the American and the Canadian islands all kind of blend together, and there's people trying to like meet up on the boats, and like coast guards are coming and like giving people fines. Like there was like a news story of someone getting like a $10,000 fine or something for like going into for like coming into Canada when they shouldn't.
Oh no.
Dang.
Yeah, so it's like we're like stay out of here, America. Yeah,
shame though.
It's been crazy because their numbers are so bad, right? So it's just like trying to control the spread, but it's crazy world, man. I just want everything to be open and normal again.
Yeah, I can imagine.
For sure.
Yeah.
So another question I have is since we're on the topic of COVID, was there any other like movies, videos, things you had planned for this year in particular, or still have planned, that was kind of cancelled by COVID or like put off by COVID, aside from the traveling?
Yeah, mostly travel. Like I had, I was gonna go to Mexico this month, and that got put off, which is also kind of crazy because it was like a tour I was promoting, and I was gonna be riding on, and the tour operator in Mexico, he's still running operations because the U.S.-Mexico border is still open. Lots of Americans are still traveling to Mexico to vacation. So it was pretty much an all-American group, and like they were like surprised I wasn't coming. And I was like, do you guys know what's going on in the world right now? But the tour operator in Mexico, he understood. He just said, hey, I just need like you to write me a letter so I can share it with my customers why you're not coming. It's like, well, that's crazy to even need an explanation, but okay. And I might talk to you guys right before I got hurt, but I did break my collarbone this summer.
Yeah,
and
I heard about that.
Yeah, so I was out for like 2 months, and so like the whole summer I wasn't really biking. We're having a colder winter than usual right now. Like normally it's still like 10 degrees Celsius, and it's been like this week, and it's not even November yet, so we're like, oh, it's gonna be a really cold winter. So that kind of sucks, because like as soon as I'm feeling 100% again, I'm riding again. We're supposed to be filming some videos right now, and the winter might hit early on us and kind of close us out till the spring. So that kind of that's kind of bummer. So it's like been a weather, injuries, COVID. Like it's
oh my word,
the first year in like, let's see, like 15 years I haven't gone to Whistler in the summer, and it's only a couple hours away. But it's like I go to the bike park every year, but yeah, I just haven't even left. I haven't like drove more than a few hours away from where I live like since February. So it's been a huge change. It's been a huge change just staying close to home all year, but I kind of like it. There's lots to do around here, but yeah, it's been different for sure.
You almost find more things to do now in your area. Like you have to make do with what you got.
Yeah,
but then
it's like no one's really.
You can travel somewhere else.
Yeah, no one's really traveling, right? Like the furthest I went was like a 3-hour road trip, and it's like on Vancouver Island still, everything's pretty laid back here, and yeah, I think it's just like the best thing to do is not go far. Like even if COVID numbers are safe where you live, it's like the less people move around, the quicker this thing goes away. I feel like so. I'm trying to like do my part, I guess.
Don't risk it too early.
Yeah, exactly.
As they say.
Yeah.
Is there any major projects that you're currently working on now?
Yeah. So like the reason it's been so hard for us to reconnect is because I got a project approved about a month ago with Shimano, which is a large component company in mountain biking, and they were down to support this project. It was a concept my friend had as a videographer, and what he wanted to do was he wanted to like implement stop motion into a mountain bike film. So imagine like
okay.
you build a bike trail like
Yeah.
1 foot at a time, and then you take
Yeah.
a photo each time, and then once it's all stitched together, then the rider rides through, and then you mask the footage, so you have like the trail being built in front of the rider. That was the idea.
Oh my word.
And
That sounds so
yeah,
cool.
we
That's
did some test runs, and it was like very technical and hard to do, and still slightly choppy. So then we decided, okay, what if we put something like on a still tripod or a slider that's not going to change framing, and then we take a photo of the forest before there's a trail, and then we spend like a few hours with a group of guys like building that section of trail, and then like at the very end of the day, the rider comes in and hits the new trail, and then
Dang.
and then you do it, and then you stitch the shots together, and then you mask it. So then like basically you see like say a corner being built, and then right after a rider comes into frame and hits the corner.
Oh no,
So that was-
that is
Yeah.
Oh,
That's it.
So we were
in
thinking
my
an
head.
entire
Oh my
Yeah.
word.
we're thinking an entire mountain bike film that has that effect, right? And so what we decided to do was we got Shimano on board, but we had like an area in mind we were super excited about because it's where I'm building my trails. But my trails are all like kind of illegal. They're like they're not like sanctioned, right? Like they're just like on crown land, or they're on like private property, and it's kind of a gray area where you can get away with building, but it's not like a legal thing you should be promoting like the location of. And they're like, oh, it has to be a proper sanctioned trail. So we had to work with the local mountain bike society, use their trail network, find a hidden location on that mountain. And then we just like the last month, we've just been like trail building every single day. And we're building sections of trail that are like the in-between sections for the effects.
Yeah.
So say we have like 100 meters of trail, and then like 100 meters of no trail, then 100 meters of trail again. And we've been building a trail like that.
Was so
and so now we have like 5 empty sections of trail within a trail that are going to be built when we film those effects. But the problem is now, like it's so fresh. We've been working like 10-hour days building with like 3 other people. It's been crazy, man. Yeah, like every single, like today's the first day in 3 weeks we're not doing it. So we've been chasing winter because like they're saying it's going to be a colder winter than usual. And like yesterday it was like below freezing pretty much all day, like -2 Celsius. So we just like had a fire going in the forest. Yeah, it didn't snow, but like it was cold enough to snow. And then it's warmed up and raining today, so hopefully that's gonna stay that way. But the problem is it's a brand new trail. It's so soft and fresh, and the new sections are like they're gonna take a full day for one shot. So we're looking at like another 8 days of shooting to get all those effects on board. And it's like, okay, when are we gonna fit those? When are we going to fit those 8 days in before the snow hits? Because we're also building 800 meters above sea level where we're at. So it's pretty high up. And then the network, it's like an 11-kilometer drive up the logging road to get to our trail. So it's pretty far up the mountain. And as soon as the temperatures drop a few more degrees consistently, we're kind of screwed for the winter. We have to wait until spring. So we're like,
it's gonna get freezing.
That's crazy.
I was actually talking to the filmmaker this morning. He's like, oh, maybe we should tell Shimano we'll just do it in the spring, and because we have everything ready to go now.
It's not ice.
So we'll see what happens. But that's been like everything about that project's been a struggle, from like weather to building to logistics. All the test shots we tried in a different area just to see if it would even work, and it took quite a handful of testing to really dial in the technique. But I'm pretty excited to release that. Like I could give you all that information, and you still can't really like picture what it will look like. Like it's
I can't wait to see how that's gonna turn out.
It should be pretty cool. I think I don't even know what it's gonna look like yet, but I think it'll be sweet.
Honestly though, just in my head, I'm like listening to this project. I'm like, first off, stop motion. That's gonna take forever to get done.
Yeah,
because it's not like
really
an effect.
Down. Yeah, it really slows down like something you need to do fast, right? So
Oh, just in my head, I'm like, oh no. No, it's so much work. But
it's a little too ambitious.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
I have
worth
to
it
admit
though.
I have to admit it though. Stop motion is one of my more like favorited type of, I would say, videography. You know?
Yeah.
So seeing that like incorporated with mountain biking is going to be absolutely crazy, because it's such a juxtaposition. You know,
I know.
like for something slow it's been that now happens fast and
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
something
We were
people
pretty
can
excited.
appreciate.
We were pretty excited when the company said yes to it because it was like a pretty big project overall. Like everything that was included, like the trail builder budget to like everything we had to line up to make it work. We're like, okay, this is sweet. We have all the resources we need to execute this project now. And now that we're like halfway into it, we're like, oh man, this is crazy. I can't believe we're doing this.
Yeah.
It's way too ambitious.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But these trails, do you guys get builders in to build it, or does the riders come up with the trails? Because these trails are beautiful and it's crazy. I always wonder, how is it made?
Yeah, I mean, so I grew up riding BMX bikes and just riding like at skate parks and like tracks and dirt jump spots, and I just kind of learned how to build jumps on my own with like friends and watching bike films for inspiration, and then like I would kind of learn how to shape and build my own dirt jumps, and that kind of like has progressed over the years. Now I've implemented those skills of shaping into trail building, and like over time you kind of learn what works and doesn't work. It's like a trial and error over years of practice, right? You're like, oh, if I make a takeoff this steep or I shape it at that angle, I know how long of a distance I need to make before I build a landing. And you learn that over time, and you learn how to do that based on the terrain around you. So if you are a good rider, it actually is easier to build these sort of features because you understand what they ride like. And then one of the guys who's helping us in this project, he's a older guy, like in his 40s, who's been trail building for like 20 years, and he just loves to build trails. So it's cool teaming up with him because he has like a really good eye for like where to go down the mountain, right? Like he can walk through the forest and know what the right grade is. It's like going with a surveyor. It's like I'm kind of like the creative eye. I'm kind of like the creative eye with the single features. I like know, okay, it'd be cool to build something against that stump or over that rock, and then he's like kind of the more like practical builder. Like, oh well, if you go that way, you get stuck because it goes uphill. So we need to go this way, and like he kind of like flags out. He flagged out the trail for us basically, and then I went through and decided what features we were going to build. So it's kind of a good combination. But yeah, there's so many types of builders and riders. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah,
because I see you used to be more of a jumper, right? In your previous days.
Yeah, I still do a lot of that, but I mean, lately I've just been trying to do more creative projects and focus less on solely my riding. Like projects like this trail building, riding video, like things like that are fun. Things that kind of stand out that are different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that because of your injury, or is it simply because you are more creatively like passionate for that one right now?
Yeah, I think I've just been more like creative, like personality, I guess, in the sport. Like I did compete more in the past, but I think I just kind of did it out of necessity, not because I wanted to. Like I'm competitive, but I wasn't the kind of person who was like, oh, I need to go to this contest and win, right? It was more of like, I'm going to go to this contest to push myself because everyone's doing crazy stuff. And I want to get better. I want to learn more skills, and also it's like the opportunity. It's good for sponsorships to be at these events. And, but they didn't really fit. None of the events ever really fit me. And then when I did get invited to RedBull Rampage, it was like a huge deal because only 20 riders get invited every year. And it's really hard. It's really hard to get into, and just being there on its own was like a massive opportunity. And I found that style of riding at that event was more my style because it wasn't about like best trick. It was more about the craziest way down the mountain, working with the natural terrain that's on the mountain. And it's not just about doing like a double backflip. It's about doing like a trick off something crazy no one else wants to even ride. And that's kind of the difference, right? It's like if you look at like a snowboard slope style event versus the big mountain snowboard event. Like I'm not sure if you've seen those. It's kind of a more commonly known thing than mountain biking, but it's kind of the same sort of contrast. I was at a big mountain bike event where you were like, you had to build your own line down the mountain, utilize some of the pre-built features, and then basically they judged you in 4 tiers by amplitude, speed, style, and tricks. So the tricks I was doing, so the tricks I was doing were only 1/4 of the judging. I've always kind of been more geared towards style than tricks anyways. Like that's kind of what I was always been more known for, is like my style on the bike. So I'm like, okay, I can use that to my advantage. I like to go big off stuff. And then speed, like I'm not the fastest rider out there, but if I hit these lines really fast and flowy, I can score high. And so I went there, and it was like the first time in my life I've been at a contest. I thought I could potentially win this if I play all my cards right. Whereas a slopestyle event, I would never be able to win. I could put down my best run and I might make the podium maybe, but probably not. So it was like, I got really excited about that. But then in my run, I ended up breaking my leg on the huge canyon gap I built.
Oh, my word.
That's where you broke your femur.
That's where I broke my femur. Yeah, I chose a natural line that like most, well, I mean, there's only 2 other riders going down that exact same ridge as me because the way the landscapes are, I don't know if you guys ever seen RedBull Rampage. It's crazy.
Yeah, I saw a video. It's impeccable. It's crazy.
It's like all these steep, narrow ridges down the hill, and there's like probably like 20 or 30 of these ridges off the base of the main mountain that go down. And usually 1 or 2 groups share each ridge, and they can pick where they want to go. And there's only like 3 other riders going down the same ridge I was on, and no one else was hitting this one big long jump except for one other rider who I teamed up with. And I was the first one to try it. And when I hit it, it was crazy that it was like the gap was very big. I can't know the exact measurement. Let's see, it was like, I think the gap was around 50 feet long.
What?
Things are measured in feet there.
Yeah,
things
I
are
was
measured
like,
in feet.
these guys are crazy.
Yeah, about 30 feet down.
Awesome.
So like it's like a 3-story building high, and it was like
The adrenaline's pumping then.
yeah, and like the landing was only about like arm width wide. It was a very narrow landing, and there was a cliff edge on your left, and then a like just a cliff that drops away down a canyon on your left, and then on your right it was like an edge of a cliff, like it's like a wall, right? So we had to snipe in between.
Unreal.
Yeah, so what we did, we used like that bright neon spray paint, and we just like painted a line on the takeoff, and I got kind of nervous because it was completely blind coming into it. There was another big drop right before it.
Can
So
imagine.
I fly off the cliff before it, land, and then you kind of crest up a hill, and then the takeoff is right there, and I couldn't see anything. So I followed the line, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna play it safe and kind of hug the inside of the line a bit, because like I don't want to fall off down the canyon on the left. Like you wouldn't, like if you tumbled down that hill, like I don't know what would happen. It wasn't completely vertical, but you would just fall for a long time, and it could be really bad. So I was like, I can't slide off to the left. Like I don't want that to give me an option. I'll kind of hug the cliff side on my right a bit more and stay a bit safer. But I overcompensated too much, and I was about three quarters of the way to the landing, which was like probably a second and a half because it was so big. So it's like going super fast, and then my pedal, like because your pedal is what sticks out the most on your bike. My pedal like just grazed the cliffside. And the second, and I'm going like full speed off this jump, and the second that happened, my front wheel just like dropped, like instantly. And I was still fighting. And at that point, I was like directly above the landing, but I was still like 20 feet off the ground. And I just
that is mental.
Yeah, I got shot off my bike like a slingshot, and like I did like a slow, I like opened up my body because I didn't know how I was falling. I just did like a slow front flip, and I landed on my femur. Yeah. And it was like when I hit the ground, it was like getting hit by a truck. It was just like bam.
Can you imagine at that speed?
Yeah, but it happened so quickly, right? Because I thought I was landing it until the last second, so it was like I didn't even have time to react or even be scared. I just like I was just like all of a sudden I was on the ground, and I was like, what just happened? And I just like okay, I can feel. I was like, I can feel my toes. I'm good. And then I just like they're relaxed. Yeah. And then, like luckily it's a big RedBull event, so they do everything correctly. There's paramedics everywhere, and there was like 5 people checking me out like the second I hit the ground. And
yeah, that's cool.
They thought I dislocated my hip. That's what they thought I did at first. And then I got like, I didn't have to get helicoptered out of there because I had no spinal issues, but they did put me on a stretcher, get me out of there, and it was like a long bumpy road through the desert out to the hospital. Yeah, it was brutal.
Come on, they should have given you a helicopter.
I know. And then I got there.
Experience.
I know. Then I got there, and it was like I could see my femur was like snapped in a few spots right below my hip joint. And I was like, oh, this is bad.
Not good.
That's not that good.
That's not very good. Yeah. No, but it was such an isolated injury too. Like I didn't even have a scrape on me. It was just like the break.
Yeah.
It's like one spot.
Yeah,
like,
it still sucks though. It still really sucks.
It was brutal, yeah. That's a really crazy event. And after that, like I had a non-union fracture, so after 6 weeks, it wasn't healing at all properly. Like what happens is they had to like kind of put a titanium rod in my leg, and then they had to spread the bones out a bit so my legs stayed the same length because the way it was kind of crushed a bit. Like my right leg would have been slightly shorter.
Sure.
And my right leg would have been slightly shorter if they didn't do the surgery that way. So they did that. But because the bones were kind of spread apart, it didn't want to heal right. And I got really stressed out because after like 6 weeks, the doctor's like, yeah, it's going to be like another year before you're doing anything. And that's yeah. So I got
doctors give that news.
I know, but I ended up healing quite quick. Like I just stayed on a healthy diet and did a lot of physio and yoga and like as much as I could to get back at it. And like within 6 months, I was riding again, but taking it easy. So
yeah.
But then I got invited back the next year. Or I talked to the organizer at another event like that next year. He's asking me about like what my thoughts were on coming back. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth the I don't know if they're like you can pay me enough money to like put that risk out there again. Like it's not like to give you an idea, like that first place for that event is like $50,000 I think dollars.
Damn.
I mean that's not a lot of money for
RedBull events are it's really big.
Yeah. I mean that's
hectically.
Yeah, it's a good prize, but I mean, for the risk, I could think of easier ways to make that much money.
Yeah, risk versus reward. No way.
You know what I mean? Like it's too risky.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think at the same time, you're also risking it for like the publicity and like the
exactly.
And like for sponsors, because basically, if you land like a lot of tricks, if you get all like the categories, really, you do well in all the categories. You know, it's like No, I did a thing. I won. Sponsor me, yay!
Yeah. Even if I kind of went in at it with the mentality like I'm in this to win this. Like I'm in this event. I'm gonna take full advantage of this opportunity. But if I was a little more conservative on my approach, and I just decided I'm not gonna really push myself too much. I'm just gonna get to the bottom of the mountain safely. Yeah, it's a crazy event, but like it's only as crazy as you make it. Like any advanced level mountain biker could show up to that event and find a way to the bottom and get down safely. Not everything is massive, but there's the options to go big. And when you get 20 of the best guys in the world and everyone's trying to win, shit gets crazy really fast.
Yeah, it's like go big or go home.
Yeah, you almost feel like you're at war or something because everybody who's there is scared, but they all want to win, and it's like very competitive.
There must be crazy.
Yeah, it's not the greatest vibe, which is another reason I didn't want to go back. I was like, man, like no one's really enjoying themselves until they finish their run. And then when someone finishes their run, it's like the best day they've ever had. But it's like, it's
what a feeling.
Yeah, it's a crazy feeling. So after that, I was like, I don't know. I mean, that's not why I do the sport. Like it's a cool element of it, but it just made me want to shift my focus more to the creative side of things and like bring my sponsors value in a different way without like putting my life on the line once a year.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a great way to put
it. It is definitely a great way to put it.
Yeah. Mark, thank you so much for joining the podcast. I mean, this was awesome. It was great to chat to you again.
Yeah.
That was great, man.
It's great
so guys, go check out Mark's doing some great things during this time. Isolation's happening, which is his series that he's doing as well. He has a great YouTube channel, some great blogs, and so much more content. So go check it out. It's really phenomenal. Mark, thanks again for joining the podcast. Guys, go support him. All the links will be in the description. Cheers, guys. Like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks once again.
Like and subscribe. Cheers.
Peace.